The beach was nearly empty, waves rolling in with a steady rhythm that matched her heavy thoughts. She walked slowly along the shore, heels in hand, letting the cold sand ground her. A CEO. Powerful. Successful. And completely heartbroken. The headlines hadn't been kind. Betrayal. Scandal.
Let's get
A
this
broken
party started.
engagement that had turned her private pain into public entertainment. So she came here. To disappear for a while. That's when she saw them. A man and a little girl, sitting near the water, building something out of sand. Laughing. She almost looked away. But something made her stop. The girl clapped excitedly as the small sandcastle collapsed. Again, she said. The man laughed softly. All right, but this time, you build it stronger. Simple. Carefree. Real. The CEO felt something tighten in her chest. Because that kind of happiness felt far away. She walked a little closer without realizing it. Close enough to hear them. Dad, will it last this time? The girl asked. He smiled. Maybe not. But we can always build again. The words hit her harder than expected. She stopped walking. Just listening. The girl noticed her first. Hi, she called out, waving. The CEO blinked, caught off guard. Then gave a small nod. Hi. Do you want to help? The girl asked innocently. The man looked up now, slightly surprised. Sorry, he said politely. She likes to invite everyone. It's okay, the CEO replied softly. A pause. Then. I don't mind. She sat down carefully, not caring about the sand ruining her clothes. Something she never would have done before. They built in silence at first. Awkward. Unfamiliar. You're sad, the girl said suddenly. The CEO froze. What? She asked. The girl looked at her with simple honesty. My dad says people who don't smile with their eyes are sad. The CEO's breath caught slightly. Because no one had said it so directly before. She forced a small smile. I'm fine. The girl tilted her head. No, you're not. The man gently interrupted, hey, that's not polite. But the CEO raised her hand slightly. It's okay, she said quietly. Because somehow. It didn't feel rude. It felt true. Did someone hurt you? The girl asked. Silence. The waves filled the space between them. The CEO looked down at the sandcastle they were building. Then whispered. Yes. The girl nodded like she understood something far beyond her age. Then said something that made everything stop. My mom hurt my dad too, but he still smiles for me. The CEO froze. Completely. Because in that moment, something shifted. Something deeper than pain. And she realized. This wasn't just a random meeting. This was about to change everything. The word stayed in the air, carried by the sound of the waves. The CEO didn't move. Didn't speak. Because something about that simple sentence hit deeper than anything she had heard in months. She slowly looked at the man. He wasn't embarrassed. Wasn't defensive. Just calm. She tells the truth a little too easily, he said gently. The CEO shook her head. No, she whispered. She tells it the way it is. The little girl continued shaping the sand, unaware of how much she had just revealed. My dad cried once, she added innocently. But he thought I didn't see. The man exhaled softly, a faint smile touching his lips. I guess I wasn't as sneaky as I thought. The CEO felt something shift inside her. Because she had cried too. Alone. Hidden. Ashamed. But then, the girl continued, he made pancakes the next morning and smiled again. The CEO blinked. Just like that? She asked. The man looked at the ocean. Not just like that, he said quietly. A lot stays inside. A pause. But you choose what you show. That answer stayed with her. Because she had been showing only strength. Only control. Only perfection. And it had left her empty. Why? She asked suddenly. He turned to her. Why what? Why keep smiling, after being hurt like that? The question was honest. Raw. He thought for a moment. Then looked at his daughter, still focused on the sandcastle. For her, he said. Simple. But complete. The CEO looked at the girl. Then back at him. And for yourself? She asked. A faint pause. Then. That comes later, he replied. Silence settled again. But this time, it felt different. Less heavy. More understanding. The girl suddenly clapped again. Look. It's standing, she said proudly. They both looked. The small sandcastle stood stronger now. Still fragile. But better. The CEO smiled. Not forced. Not controlled. Real. It won't last forever, she said softly. The girl shrugged. Then we build again. The same words as before. But now. They meant something more. The CEO stood up slowly. Sand on her hands. On her clothes. And for once. She didn't care. Thank you, she said. The man nodded. For what? She looked at the ocean. Then at the small castle. Then at them. For reminding me that broken things aren't the end. The girl smiled brightly. They're just the middle. The CEO let out a quiet laugh. The first one that didn't feel heavy. As she turned to leave, she paused. Then looked back. What's your name? She asked. The man answered simply. She repeated it quietly, as if memorizing something important. Because she knew. This moment wouldn't stay on the beach. It would follow her. And as she walked away, one truth settled in her heart. Healing doesn't come from power. Or control. It comes from the courage. To build again. The party was loud, elegant, and full of people who believed they owned the world. Crystal glasses, quiet laughter, expensive confidence, everything about the room spoke of power and status. And right in the middle of it all, stood him. A single dad. Simple suit. Calm presence. Completely out of place, at least, that's what everyone thought. She noticed him immediately. Not because he stood out. But because he didn't try to. A millionaire woman, known for her sharp tongue and dangerous confidence, walked over with a slow, amused smile. You don't belong here, she said, tilting her glass slightly. He looked at her, unfazed. That depends on who's deciding. A few people nearby turned their attention toward them. She smirked. Someone like you, what could you possibly offer in a room like this? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he simply held her gaze. Calm. Steady. That annoyed her. Let's make it interesting, she said suddenly. 5 minutes. He raised an eyebrow slightly. 5 minutes? You get 5 minutes with me, she continued. No titles, no background, just you. If you can make me change my mind about you. A pause. I'll admit I was wrong. And if I don't? He asked. Her smile sharpened. You walk away knowing exactly where you stand. Silence stretched between them. Eyes watched. Waiting. He gave a small nod. "All right," he said. The room shifted slightly as they moved to a quieter corner. No audience. No pressure. Just 5 minutes. The first minute passed in silence. She expected him to speak first. To impress her. To prove something. But he didn't. He just sat there, relaxed. Observing. That was new. "Time's ticking," she said, slightly impatient. "I know," he replied calmly. Another pause. Then. "You're tired," he said. The words caught her off guard. "What?" she frowned. "You hide it well," he continued. "But it's there." Her expression hardened. "You don't know anything about me." "Not everything," he said. "Just enough to see what others ignore." That unsettled her. Because it wasn't flirtation. It wasn't charm. It was observation. Real. Uncomfortable. By the third minute, she had stopped trying to control the conversation. Because somehow, he wasn't playing the game she was used to. He asked simple questions. Listened to her answers. Didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. Didn't try to impress. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like she wasn't being measured. By the 5th minute, something had shifted. Not dramatically. Not loudly. But enough. "Well," she said, though her tone had softened. He stood up. "I didn't come here to change your mind," he said. She blinked. "Then why agree to the bet?" A small pause. "Because sometimes people don't need convincing," he replied. "They just need honesty." The words lingered. Different from anything she expected. "And?" she asked quietly. He met her gaze one last time. "You already know the answer." He turned to leave. But she didn't stop him. Because something inside her had already changed. And for the first time. 5 minutes. Felt like more than enough. She didn't move as he walked away. Not because she didn't want to stop him. But because she wasn't sure what she would say. For the first time in a long time, she felt unsettled. Not by arrogance. Not by charm. But by honesty. Hours passed. The party continued, louder than before, but she wasn't part of it anymore. Conversations blurred together. Laughter felt distant. Her mind kept returning to those 5 minutes. The way he didn't try. Didn't impress. Didn't chase. And somehow, that mattered more than anything else. By midnight, she had made a decision. "Find him," she told her assistant. "Who?" he asked. "The man I was just speaking to," she replied. Simple suit. Quiet. A few minutes later, the answer came back. He already left. That didn't sit right with her. "Where?" she asked. "No one knows." That was new. In her world, everyone left a trace. But him? Nothing. By morning, everything had changed. Not in the world. But in her. She stood in her office, looking out at the city she once felt completely in control of. But now, something felt different. Her assistant entered quietly. "You have 3 meetings lined up." She didn't turn around. "Cancel them." A pause. "All of them?" "Yes." That had never happened before. Instead, she did something unexpected. She searched. Not through files or databases. But through places people like him might actually be. Simple cafes. Quiet streets. Normal life. And then, she found him. Sitting outside a small cafe, helping a little girl with her homework. His daughter. He looked exactly the same. Calm. Present. Unbothered. No sign of the man who had just walked away from a room full of power the night before. She stepped closer. "You left," she said. He looked up, recognizing her, but not surprised. "Yes," he replied. "You didn't even wait for the result," she added. He gave a small, almost amused look. "I already knew it." She crossed her arms slightly. "Confident?" "No," he said. "Certain?" Silence. She glanced at the little girl, then back at him. "You won," she said finally. The words were simple. But they carried weight. He didn't react the way she expected. No smile. No pride. Just a small nod. "It wasn't about winning," he said. That answer, again. Different. "Then what was it about?" she asked. He looked at his daughter for a moment before answering. "Reminding you that not everything valuable looks impressive at first." The words settled deeply. Because she understood them now. More than she wanted to admit. She hesitated for a second. Then. "Come work with me," she said. Direct. Clear. Certain. He shook his head slightly. "No." That answer surprised her. "No?" she repeated. "I already have a job," he said calmly. "That's not what I mean," she said. "I'm offering you more. Opportunity. Growth. A different life." He looked at her, steady as ever. "I'm already living the life I chose," he replied. That stopped her. Completely. Because for the first time, she met someone who wasn't looking for more. He was already enough. She exhaled slowly, something inside her finally settling. "Then at least let me ask one thing," she said. He waited. "How did you do it?" she asked. "In just 5 minutes, how did you change everything?" A brief pause. Then. "I didn't," he said. She frowned slightly. "You did," he continued. "You just stopped pretending for a moment." Silence. But this time, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was clear. Because she finally understood. As she turned to leave, something felt lighter. Not because she lost a bet. But because she gained something else. Perspective. And behind her, the single dad returned to his quiet life, unchanged, steady, real. Because for him, nothing had changed. But for her, everything had.